If you have ADHD and not having enough money feels intense, heavy, you definitely want to stick around. Today, we are pulling the curtain on why fear of lack hits harder with ADHD and what it's actually doing behind the scenes. Because fear of lack doesn't just show up as worry, it shows up in how you spend, how you avoid, and how you try to control things to find relief. By the end of this episode, you'll have 8 ways to identify fear of lack and how it shows up with ADHD so you can get out of scarcity.
Thanks for flying with us. Have a great day. 3, 2, 1.
Fear in general hits harder with ADHD, whether it's FOMO, saying no, fear of being rejected, fear of not being enough, or fear of getting fired. And I'm sure you've had more of your fair share in your life. Welcome, brilliant. I'm your host, Zarina, ADHD and money coach, unapologetic Gen X ADHDer, and someone who was stuck in fear of lack and knows what it's like to feel that constant pressure around money. If money ever felt intense, overwhelming, or just a lot to deal with, fear of not having enough probably has something to do with it, on top of everything else ADHD complicates when it comes to managing your personal finances. What I have laid out for you today on Phenomenally ADHD is going to help you flip the script on both ADHD and money. You'll walk away with a clearer understanding of the sneaky ways fear of lack shows up. And yeah, you'll probably recognize a few. Why you can go from I'll deal with it later to I need to fix everything now. What your brain is actually trying to do when money feels intense. And the question for each of the 8 ways fear of lack hits so you can get out of scarcity. It will take some work, of course, but feeling financially secure no matter what happens is possible, and I am convinced that if it's something I was able to do, well, I was probably put on your path to help you do the same. So fear of lack hits harder because ADHD, and you know this already, ADHD amplifies how you feel things, including money, not because you're flawed or anything. And when it takes over, it doesn't just make you feel stressed or anxious. It takes control. It narrows your focus, speeds everything up, and pushes your brain to find ways to create safety no matter the cost. For years, fear of lack lived rent-free at the back of my mind. Something I'd internalized, a feeling of insecurity impossible to shake off. Interestingly enough, it began fading away after taking charge of my personal finances, digging to identify my limiting beliefs around money, and shifting my mindset. One question kept coming back. Does fear of lack hit people with ADHD harder? I strongly believe the answer is yes. So what does it look like when fear of lack shows up and hits us hard? Here are 8 ways it does. Number 1, just in case spending. Buying multiples of the same item because what if I run out? Stockpiling things you don't even use that often. Feeling low-key panic when essentials are getting low. Overbuying during sales even when you didn't plan to. Just in case spending is sneaky. I remember a time when fear of lack was so intense for me, I couldn't even tolerate an empty fridge or pantry. Something would be on sale, like salad dressing, and I'd buy 3, 4. More often than not, I had 6 bottles sitting in my pantry. Different kinds, sure, but still 6. And that's one food item. But it would be the same for other non-perishables, as if they'd never be on sale ever again. That has nothing to do with salad dressing, of course. It's about safety. The question you can ask yourself is this one. What is the one thing I can do to feel safe in this very moment? That takes us to number 2, spending to avoid future stress. Buying things early so I don't have to think about it later. Paying for convenience to avoid overwhelm, such as delivery or subscriptions. In other words, I'm not buying this because I need it now. I'm buying relief from future me. The question to ask is, what other options do I have to bring a sense of peace? Number 3, catastrophic what-if thinking. What if I lose my job? What if I have an unexpected expense I can't afford? What if I mess this up again? Your brain fast forwards to worst case scenarios like it's the only possible outcome. You're not reacting to what's happening now. You're reacting to everything that could go wrong later. The question here, how can I flip this to a best case scenario? What deeper fear hides beneath the what if? So that was actually 2 questions for you, so you can choose the one that fits best. Number 4, impulsive spending driven by fear. Buying things that feel like security, food, home stuff, backups. Spending spikes when you feel uncertain or insecure. Justifying purchases as being a necessity. This is a dopamine chasing tactic. You tell yourself it's a good decision because you'll need it anyway, but really, you're just trying to calm the feeling. The question to ask here is, what can I do to create a dopamine fix that lasts? If this is making you see your spending differently already, follow or subscribe to the show because this is exactly what we do here. We connect the dots in a way that actually makes sense for your brain. How else can fear of lack hit? Number 5, overthinking and doing nothing. Thinking about money consistently but not taking action. Researching, planning, worrying without following through. Feeling stuck between I should deal with this and I can't handle this right now. Executive dysfunction meets emotional overload, and that equals brain freeze. This is where it may start to feel exhausting. So the question for number 5 is, what tools and strategies can I rely on to support my executive function or regulate my emotions? Number 6, shame-fueled decision-making. I should be better at this by now. Comparing yourself to people who seem on top of it. Avoiding help or conversations about money. This one hits deep because it's not just about money. It's about identity and self-doubt. We've all had people who have told us, it's not that complicated. Just do it this way. You haven't done it yet. What they don't realize because they can't see it is the amount of effort you put in and how hard you have to work when the way you do things is like Cinderella's stepsisters trying to force their foot into the glass slipper. The question you can ask here is, what am I really good or excel at? Number 7, feeling behind no matter what. Even when you have money, it doesn't feel like enough. You don't trust your ability to manage it long term. You struggle to feel financially safe. We often think fear of lack is about your actual numbers, but it's not. It's about your confidence in your ability to handle them. Feeling behind is a tough one for me because I'm so not where I want to be, especially when it comes to retirement. It can really take a toll and make you feel like there's nothing you can do. And deconstructing that belief required a lot of work as it was deeply rooted. It even tries to show up in other forms once in a while. When that happens, I look at all I've done to improve the situation and redirect my focus back on what's important, not what I don't have or haven't accomplished yet. If you feel the same, the next and last reason fear of lack hits ADHDers harder will make total sense. But before, here's the question to ask yourself for number 7. Where do I feel the most confident and how can it apply to money? Number 8, projecting into the future. Saving feels abstract and unrewarding. Long-term planning feels heavy or pointless. You prioritize immediate stability over future growth. For ADHD brains, life is meant to be enjoyed now. Future me can figure it out when I get there. The question to ask yourself here, what tiny shift can I make to take action in thinking ahead? And if you're hearing this and think, okay, wow, I do a lot of these, this is where it helps to understand what's actually happening in your brain. If you're a Star Wars fan, think of these as the dark side of the Force hijacking your brain. If fear of lack is driving your money behavior, you'll notice this. You're not making decisions based on what's true. You're making them based on what feels unsafe. I'd love to know where you recognize yourself most in the 8 ways fear of lack hits more intensely when you live with ADHD. Is it number 1, just in case spending? 2, spending to avoid future stress? 3, catastrophic what-if thinking? 4, impulsive spending driven by fear? 5, overthinking and doing nothing? 6, shame-fueled decision-making? 7, feeling behind no matter what? Or 8, difficulty projecting into the future? Drop the number in the comments. Every comment is appreciated, and I enjoy reading what resonates for you. Now, fear is different for everyone, but as in most things ADHD, there are extremes because fear of lack doesn't just make you believe you're bad with money, it pushes your behavior to extremes that feel like control, but actually create instability. Extreme number 1, avoidance mode. If I don't see it, it doesn't exist. Not opening bills, apps, or statements. Delaying decisions that involve money. Letting things pile up until they become urgent. Hoping things will sort themselves out. Not checking your bank balance regularly. Letting numbers become this vague, scary thing. Therefore, fear of lack creates a paradox. You fear not having enough, So you avoid the thing that tells you how much you actually have. What's underneath? Can be overwhelmed. Executive dysfunction says, nope. Shame, emotional overload. This increases the fear you were trying to avoid, and when the focus is on what you don't want, you end up getting more of it. If you want to learn more on avoidance, there's a full episode you can watch or listen to titled How to Break the ADHD Money Avoidance Loop. Extreme number 2. Hyper-control or hyper-frugal mode. I need to log this down now. Obsessively checking your bank account, tracking every dollar like your life depends on it. Cutting spending hard, sometimes unrealistically. What's underneath? It can be anxiety disguised as responsibility. It can also be trying to create certainty in an uncertain system. If I control everything, I'll finally feel safe. But the downside is that it's exhausting and it's not sustainable. Another crucial element is financial insecurity because it's not just internal. Research shows that ADHDers have lower income on average, higher debt, slower savings growth. So your brain isn't making this up. There are more real-life consequences, which means the fear feels justified, the pressure is more intense, and the stakes feel higher. That feeds the fear of lack and financial insecurity even more. If you recognize yourself in both extremes, avoiding and over-controlling, that's not you being inconsistent. That's your brain trying to create safety without the tools to sustain it. Right now, which one are you in? Are you avoiding your money? Or are you trying to control everything? Maybe you're swinging between both. If you want to take this one step further, check out the free ADHD and money diagnostic. It reveals how your brain interacts with money and where friction shows up most. I've added the link to the episode's description. All you have to do is click it and it's yours for free. Now, keep in mind that the impact of ADHD is real. You have executive function challenges. So planning, organizing, decision-making, and following through already take more effort. You have emotional intensity. So when money feels stressful, fear of lack hits harder and faster. You have a brain wired for relief. So impulsivity isn't about lack of self-control. It's about trying to feel better quickly. And on top of that, many ADHDers are dealing with real financial pressure, more debt, less stability, slower savings, lower income. You don't feel stuck because you failed. You feel stuck because your brain doesn't have a system that supports it. Once you understand what your brain is actually doing, you can stop fighting it and start working with it. When you understand why fear of lack hits ADHDers harder, something shifts. You stop seeing your behavior as inconsistent or erratic, and you start seeing the pattern. You realize you're not going back to square one every time. You're moving between two states, trying to feel safe. And that changes how you respond. Less pressure to fix everything at once, less shame when things don't go perfectly, more awareness of what's actually happening in the moment. And that's where things start to feel different. Not because everything is suddenly perfect, but because you stopped fighting yourself. Let me know what your biggest takeaway is in the comments. I love reading what you share. If you know an ADHDer who can benefit from this conversation, please share it with them and make sure to follow or subscribe. Until next time, keep on rocking that badass, phenomenal ADHD brilliance of yours. Sending lots of love your way, and I'll catch you in the next episode.